Hey guys, welcome to the Financial Minute. My name's Josh. So glad you joined me today. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 dumb things people spend their money on. But before we go any farther, guys, please give that thumbs up a big grand slam, knock it out of the park. That really does help the channel, helps the channel grow. And without further ado, let's get right to it right after this. So guys, people live a life they cannot afford. They buy things that their paycheck does not buy. They use loans, whether it be 0%, 10%, 20%, to buy stuff that they cannot afford to impress people that they don't care about, and this makes no sense whatsoever. Did you know the average car payment is $550? The average student debt is over $32,000. This is like the only time where it pays to be below average. You don't want to be the average in this scenario. You want to be way lower. You don't want to have a $32,000 debt when you graduate from college. You don't want a $550 car payment. I mean, unless you're, in the position to easily afford that. In 2017, many companies, including Macy's, made almost half of their profit off of loaning people money with those high-interest credit cards. Guys, store credit cards are the worst. The interest rates are absurd. Don't use store credit cards unless you're paying them off every month. And if you can't afford it, you don't need it. Guys, 0% financing sounds really good. So you can go out and buy this refrigerator for 0%. Oh, you know what? I can afford it because I can make the minimum payment. And then next week you go out and buy this fancy new $1,200 blender so you can blend up your yams and your fruit juice. And then you're like, oh, it's cool. I get 0% financing. I'm saving money, and I get this amazing blender that will grind up food and do everything I wanted to do. And then next week you see this awesome leather couch and you're like, I could use that leather couch. And they're offering 0% financing for 12 months. So you plunk down your whatever credit card. Actually, you probably don't even need a credit card. The store will finance it for you. You say 0% financing, count me in. Before you know it, you have spent $10,000, and yet you're making the minimum payment. 12 months goes by, all of a sudden 0% financing is over. Now you're paying interest, and it's not just any interest. This is the big interest, 10, 15, 20%. Now you're regretting, dude, I really need that $1,200 blender. That leather couch is already torn up because it was cheaply made. Even though it cost $1,200, it wasn't well put together, and now it's already broken, and I'm still paying for it. So guys, 0% financing is not the key. Yes, it can be used in certain scenarios to save you money on something you were going to buy and you had cash to pay for anyways. That's the key. If you can't afford to buy it today, you don't have the cash in your pocket to pay for it today, you don't need it. Simple as that. And if it's a $1,200 blender, I might add, there's plenty of blenders less than $1,200 that will get the job done. But maybe you're a cook and you need that $1,200 blender because you're blending peanut butter. I tried blending peanut butter in my Vitamix blender, which I bought on eBay for 60 bucks. Didn't like it too much. I almost burned it out. So, I guess maybe there are uses for $1,200 blenders to blend peanut butter. But anyways, back to the 5 dumb things people do with their income. Guys, the next one, number 2, have a will. Or the dumb thing is, don't have a will. I'll make this short and sweet. It's pretty obvious. Have a will in place, so if something ever does happen, I mean, nobody wants to discuss wills. Nobody wants to, plan for the event where something happens and you need to use that will. But you don't want the state deciding what happens to your money in the event that something happens to you. You want it to be written straight clear in your will what happens to your assets. Because we're all about building assets. This channel is all about building your money, creating more income for you and your family, and you don't want it all to go in the wrong direction because something happens and all of a sudden the state gets to decide what happens to your assets. So have a will. I think that's pretty straightforward. Have a will. We'll leave it at that. Number 3, guys, have life insurance. You don't want to have your next of kin trying to figure out how to fund your funeral. Another topic that's touchy, but you need to have life insurance. And not all life insurance is created equally. For the most part, there are 2 options. There's term insurance and there's whole life insurance. Guys, they're very different breeds. Term insurance is basically you pay a flat fee, and if something happens to you, the insurance company pays out the lump sum agreed upon. So if you have $1 million in term life and something happens to you and you pass away, the insurance company pays $1 million to your next of kin. Whole life is a little different. Whole life, you agree to pay a certain amount for the rest of your life, and when you die, your next of kin gets money. It doesn't matter, if you die during a certain term, it's when you die. Term life is more like car insurance. You pay to insure the car. The insurance company only pays out if the car gets damaged. If the car don't get damaged, the insurance company doesn't pay out. Whereas whole life, the insurance company pays out no matter what. However, the costs are very different. Generally, whole life is about 70% more expensive than term life. Of course, it's going to vary between different plans and different offerings, but whole life is basically an investment rolled in with life insurance. It's kind of like term insurance rolled in with an investment plan. But you can invest your own money. You don't need this company to invest your money for you, because over the average life of a whole life plan, even if you're only making 2 or 3% interest, you would be making more money with your own investments versus using whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is very expensive. For instance, a typical $1 million term life insurance plan for somebody around 30 years old is going to run you maybe $30, $40 a month. Typical $1 million whole life insurance plan for the same age, same person, might run you around $600 to $800 a month. Huge difference. So if you just take that difference, which is like $600, $700, $800, well not 800, but $600 or $700, and you just invest that in the stock market. Even if you do horrible in the stock market, you only make 4, 5%, or even 3%. You're still going to be way ahead over having whole life insurance. Do the numbers. I'm just a guy on YouTube giving you ideas. Do the research for yourself. I am not I'm not your investment guide. I'm just a guy on YouTube. But it is a fact that term life is a lot cheaper than whole life. So I highly recommend, one way or the other, you do have life insurance. Another way of stating it is whole life is an investment rolled up with life insurance, whereas term is a commodity. You buy it to cover yourself in case something happens to you. So it's there while you're paying for it, it's gone when you're not paying for it. Whole life is something you pay into for the rest of your life. But another thing about whole life is if you stop paying those payments and you can't afford them for some reason or another, your policy gets terminated and you get nothing. So you're making all those high dollar payments every month in the hopes of you're passing that on to your children someday, but all of a sudden for some reason, one way or the other, you can't afford it, well, you lose it and you lost all that money. Whereas if you had been using term life, you could have been investing that money, and then all of a sudden you don't have enough money, well, you can cancel your term life, but you don't lose all those investments you made earlier with the difference. So remember, term life is cheaper, but it's a commodity, whereas whole life is more of an investment rolled up with life insurance. So The fourth dumb thing people do, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, is playing the zero interest game. And I'll be honest, I've used zero interest in the past to do many things. But if you're using zero interest to buy stuff that you can't afford to impress people that you don't care about and who don't care about you, then that's not what you should be using 0% interest for. Because 0% interest is going to encourage you to spend money you don't have on things you don't need. So like you may not need a new leather couch, but it's got 0% interest on it, and well, it looks pretty in purple, whereas the couch you have now is kind of cream, and you're thinking, well, I'm digging purple at the moment. But you don't need that new couch, and you're only buying it because it's 0% financing. Guys, you shouldn't be spending money on things you don't need just because it's 0% financing. You don't need maybe that cool looking parrot cage. Hey, it's cool, it's made of gold, it's 0% financing, it would look good in my living room. Parrot cages are the new trend, they look cool, and I can put it on my Macy's card for 0% financing, so it's all good, and I'll have this cool parrot cage in my living room. Yeah, it's only $40 today. Actually, it's nothing today because I put it on my Macy's 0% for 6 months to 12 months, depending on how much you spend, credit card. But when those 6 to 12 months are up, I forgot to put aside some money to pay for that parrot cage. All of a sudden, you're racking up 15, 20, 30% APR on a parrot cage, which you now think is kind of ugly, so you stuck it in the attic thinking you give it to your Uncle Lou. But your Uncle Lou probably don't watch Parrot Cage. So remember, you don't need 0% interest unless you're using it for an investment of sorts. Like I've used 0% APR on a credit card to purchase repair items for real estate I bought. So that's a good scenario where you might want to use 0%. But even then, be careful, because you can get yourself into a pinch if you put a ton of money on that Home Depot card, and that Home Depot card comes due and you don't have the money to pay for it. All of a sudden, they're whacking you for not only 30% interest ongoing, but they're also whacking you for the 30% APR that they would have been charging you all along. So now you're paying interest on interest, plus they're charging you all the 0% interest turns into like 30% interest. So you don't want to do that. Don't go down that trail unless you know you can come up with that money one way or the other. Okay guys, number 5. I don't know how many times online I've heard the term live for today, because you don't know if you have tomorrow. And in some cases that's true. You want to have life insurance today. You want to have a will today. However, you don't need to go on a vacation to put your toes in the water today. So, you don't know what you're going to have tomorrow. Unfortunately, tomorrow will come most likely, and if you spend all your money putting your toes in the water, now all of a sudden you have no money to pay your rent next month, or no money to pay the electric bill. People think nowadays, due to online YouTubers telling you, oh, if you're not making 100%, if you're not tripling your money in 2 months, that's not a good investment. Just go spend it on a vacation instead. Guys, investing is a long-term thing. Whether it be creating a business, starting real estate, empire. This isn't all stuff that happens overnight. These are all long-term things. You got to have goals. Sit down once a month, look at your goals, and decide how you're going to improve yourself over the next month and year, and how you're going to reach those goals that you set. Okay guys, I'm so glad you tuned in for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please give this video a huge thumbs up. Hit that bell so you'll get future notifications of new videos that I put out. I'm going to be putting out videos at least once a week, hopefully twice a week. And remember guys, only you can make your financial dreams come true. So don't delay, start today. My name's Josh, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and thumbs up. Give it a big... But before we go any farther, please give that Okay guys, I'm so glad you tuned in for today's channel. 3 children now, I have to count. I have a 3-week-old. And as always, guys, remember, start something today. As always, remember, and remember, guys, as always, only you can make your financial dreams come true. Start something today. And guys, remember, only you can make your financial dreams come true. So don't delay. Start today. I'll see you in the next video. And until the next video, guys, be safe, God bless, and I'm out.